this video, I'm going to show you how this landscaping business is scaling to $14.8 million projected this year, so you can copy everything we're doing for them for your own business. Now, like I said, I'm going to be showing you exactly step by step how we are taking this high-end landscaper out of Texas from $6.5 to $14.8 million within 12 months. And this is actually without even touching ad spend. Now, this client, his name is Eric. He already has an insanely good process that he established as he got his landscaping company to that $6.5 million per year mark. But his process relied really heavily on people. And if a business relies solely on the owner, or at least certain key managers to keep it moving and growing, then that business owner doesn't really have a true business. It's more like that they've worked themselves into a really high-paying job with a lot of risk. And Eric himself, he had reached a high level on his own, but he knew that it could just run better, and he knew that the top landscapers in his region, in the country as a whole, were not operating this way. So that's when he decided it was time to see what else could happen if he removed himself from the business. And ironically, the company is starting to do better than before. Granted, we still do have a long way to go. Now, this is not because Eric was hurting his business in any way, shape, or form, but rather he was limiting its growth by not having a system that empowered his team to run things without him, without having to go through him for every little thing. So for example, before us, they had countless leads that they just couldn't get back to in time, which meant those leads were either not buying or worse, going to their competitors. Their follow-ups were very slow, which led to more leads and even projects entirely getting slipped through the cracks. Their estimated conversions were around 8%, which is very low for the industry. Their team was not operating consistently, which meant somebody would do one thing one way and another thing completely different. And projects just dragged on much longer than necessary because people were waiting for the green light or just specific instructions that they needed. For example, how a pre or post construction walkthrough went, or what information was needed for a project scope to be sent over to the customer. And even with those issues in place, they still collected $6.5 million last year. So just imagine how well they could do with a scalable system in place, custom built specifically for them. Imagine if every staff member operated exactly how Eric wanted them to. Imagine if the business went from relying on the owner to starting to grow without him, not just run without him, but grow without him. And imagine if every process went exactly how Eric wanted to go. Every action, every reaction, every step, every interaction, every process, every message, everything, right? Now, how does this happen? By finally putting the right systems in place. Again, the same process that they're using took them really far, and we don't want to change that. But if we can take that process and build it into a system that we can track, improve, and accelerate, that company's going to go much further. But again, we're only about 3.5 months in, and in just those 3 months, this landscaping company out of Texas has completely enhanced how they're operating, which has been scaling them up to that 14.8 million projected this year. And like I said, we're not remotely done yet. We have more system components to tweak, and we have not even touched ads yet. And like I said, I'm going to be showing you exactly how that happens step by step so you can copy our formula for yourself. Now, who am I and why does it matter? My name is Alec, and I'm a growth consultant. I'm an Army infantry veteran. That's me with my guys overseas back in 2016, 2017. Being in the military, I became a diehard Croc advocate. So if you have anything against Crocs, I'm sorry, we just got to be mortal enemies. I'm married to a woman way out of my league. I'm father to a human Sour Patch Kids. If you are the parent of a toddler, you know what I'm talking about. I've scaled over 300 plus businesses, and now I'm working exclusively with landscapers. And I co-run Restless Systems with my buddy and the founder of Restless Systems, Grant Fielding. So if he sent you this video, now you know why. Now, Grant and I had worked with other spaces before, but when we started talking, we realized that we had the best results, the best relationships, and the most fun in the landscaping space. So that's where he decided to form Restless Systems, and we decided to go all in on this space. And I think this is mostly because landscapers are designers and creators by craft, just like we are, in a different way. They love seeing a disaster of a yard and imagining how they would redesign it, not only to function well, but just to look jaw-droppingly beautiful. And because they are creators and builders by nature, they loved and respected the fact that we do the same thing that they do. Except we don't build amazing waterfalls or infinity pools or backyards that would just make any neighbor insanely jealous. Instead, we build digital systems that help them do more of what they're already insanely good at. Because great landscapers, they don't want to build websites. They don't want to build automations. They don't want to manage AI chatbots. They don't want to build custom job management systems and configure them when something goes wrong. They don't want to set up automated invoices with follow-ups and late fee reminders and notifications when the payment goes through or doesn't go through. And they don't want to set up and test and retest sales scripts. They just want to build award-winning backyards that take their clients to heaven every single time they open that back door to that newly renovated landscaped yard. So together, we're taking what they already have established, right? We're taking their already proven process that scaled them up to that high 6 to mid 7-figure mark, and we're systemizing it to do 3 things. Step 1, we are going to download their process and brain into the company. This way, everybody knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and why we are doing it that way. What this does is it ensures that the boss doesn't have to be involved in every single step. Now, this is one of my favorite steps because this is where the boss sees that his or her role is going to shift from being largely reactive to almost entirely proactive. And that's what we want to have happen. Step 2, we're going to track every step of the way so we can find areas of improvement and areas of growth by reviewing the performance of the already proven process. So we know exactly what to do and what not to do, which is guess. We are going to eliminate guessing altogether. And step 3, we're attacking those growth levers. So we're not just helping the business understand what to do, we're actually helping them do it either with them or for them entirely. And so by following these 3 steps, we're able to completely remove the business owner from the day-to-day operations over the course of roughly 4 to 8 months, and from the full operation of the business within 1 to 2 years. And that's exactly what we're doing with Eric's business right now. Now, before we started working with this company, this landscaping company looked extremely impressive. And what I will say is that every single one of our clients that comes to us, they are in this exact position. We actually don't work with anybody who's not in this position. So they have a great reputation. They're very active on social media. They have plenty of incoming leads. And my favorite part, they have beyond beautiful outdoor renovations. They're very, very good at what they do. We can scale you, but we can't actually go out and do the work for you. Now, that being said, their internal operations were barely holding together. Again, they were relying on people and halfway connected systems. Everything was depending on the owner or a very specific top manager who had to step in when the owner was out to remind people of what to do and when. And so without them, the business would slow down or stop altogether. And I don't think I have to tell you, managers don't want to feel like babysitters, and workers, your staff, they don't want to feel like they're being babysat. Now, they knew they needed a better system, but their attempts to solve this on their own or to hire marketing agencies just didn't work. And here's why they couldn't do it on their own. First, their process was perfect. Remember, this is what got them to $6.5 million, but no existing software matched what they wanted to do. That meant that no system came out of the box ready to match their process. And I hear this all the time. I say, who's your tech guy? Who's your web guy? Who's your automation guy? And they say, oh, it's my brother, it's my sister, it's my niece, it's my nephew, it's my cousin, it's my buddy from, back in the day. And when they ask them, hey, can you get some kind of system up and running? They try to figure out the best system that matches them already. But again, there's no process that just comes out of the box matching what they do. So what do you think they have to pick between? They have to choose between either they abandon the process that got them to $6.5 million, or they have to pick a software and just not use it, right? So what do you think they're going to pick? They're going to pick the process that got them to that $6.5 million mark. Of course, right? And every landscaper does this. They look for a software, it doesn't work, and they go, well, we're either going to use parts of it or we're just not going to use it altogether. Second, they didn't know how to get the team to stick to the process. So they already had a great process and they had great staff, but the staff comprised of 3 types of people. Guys who didn't really know the process because they're too new, or they just couldn't wrap their head around it, or they just needed reminders. Guys who try to follow the process the best they could, but they were missing the mark on certain things. Maybe sometimes you have your A player who just executes perfectly, but they're very far and few in between. And then you have guys who know the process. They fully grasp it. They fully understand it. They know exactly what the boss wants, but they want to do things their own way because they think their way works better. And without data to back it up, neither party understands that the other person might have a better way of doing things. And third, they just didn't know where to focus. And this is the part that drives everybody absolutely crazy. Because they don't have an analytical performance review of their business, they don't know what to do. Should they hire? Should they run ads? Should they call old leads? Should they do all of it? If they do all of it, what order do they do it in? And how much attention do they pay to one thing over another? And when do they call something quits? How do they prioritize, right? There's just a whole bunch of coulda, shoulda, wouldas that leave them feeling overwhelmed, lost, and eventually they just say, hey, let's just stick to what we already know how to do. Their process is what got them to their level. It got them to work with high-size clients doing quality work better than their competitors. But their system wasn't even the same quality as the very builds that they would make for their own customers. So with no system, they rely on people to remember and follow the process. But people, as we just established, are human, right? For example, every minute they delayed responding to a lead, the odds of getting that job dropped fast. Let's say you're getting 100 leads a month. If 10% are slipping through the cracks, that's 10 lost opportunities every month. Now, the landscapers that we work with, their prices can range from as low as $5,000 all the way up to $150,000, $300,000. That's not a surprising or shocking number for these guys. So if we just stick with a low value estimation of $15,000 per job, that's $150,000 lost every single month, or about $2 million every single year. And leads are just the start. Because if you're generating a lot of leads, if you're hiring a marketing company and they're just flooding with leads, that doesn't fix the fact that you are having leads slip through the crack. Their teams were always waiting around for decisions, approvals, or just plain direction. And so every delay of the leads they were closing was just stretching projects much, much longer. And longer jobs meant that they were completing fewer projects per year, fewer projects per month, which cost them easily another $100,000 or more in revenue every single month. And worse yet, their poor systems were damaging team morale. When employees don't have a clear direction, they leave, or even worse, they stay, but they mentally just check out and they start doing everything their own way or just not doing it the right way. And of course, what does that do? That slows everything down even more, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars more every single month. The bottom line is that the poor systems are not just frustrating for the owner, for the teams, for the staff, for management, for the customer. They're expensive. You're losing jobs. Your team morale is dropping. Your reputation is taking a hit because the customer's thinking like, okay, you guys are supposed to be the top guys in the area. This is how you interact. This is how slow you take to get back to me, right? Your freedom is dwindling down because everybody's tugging on your shirt saying, hey, I need help. Hey, what do I do? Hey, what do I do? And then you're catching people not doing the right thing. And now you have to discipline them like you're some kind of parent or babysitter. And of course, that all means that you are losing peace of mind. But do you want to know the moment that this company finally said enough is enough? This is one of my favorite stories I tell people. Their wake-up call came when an angry client, or I guess I should say prospective client, called them up and they were complaining that nobody followed up with them. Can you imagine someone is like ringing your phone and you finally answer it and they go, hey, I'm trying to give you money. Like, answer my call, call me back. Like, what are you guys doing? This is the moment that it made it crystal clear that the issue was not getting leads, right? And you see marketers all the time. Oh, we're gonna get you more leads, we're gonna get you more jobs. If you are the top 1%, if you are the top 3 landscapers in the area, your biggest issue is not getting leads. That's important. But it's what happens after you get the lead that's more important. And that's why they reach out to us, because we just don't promise another quick fix. We don't offer those out of the box, ready to go solutions. We don't offer a cookie cutter solution, and we don't force you to adopt that cookie cutter solution as if we were so arrogant we think we know how to run your business better than you do. And frankly, I don't even know how to operate any of the machinery you guys use. I've seen this all the time where someone says like, well, you're not even a landscaper. You've never even operated an excavator or any of the equipment we use. You're exactly right. If you want me to mow my own lawn, you are better off giving me a pair of scissors and a Red Bull, honestly. But they wanted us because we deeply understand scalable growth systems. We understand how sales happen, how crews work and operate, and exactly where landscaping companies get stuck. But the best part, we assumed zero idea on how their specific business operated, which meant we had to document exactly what they wanted. The what, the how, the when, the why, all of it, just blank slate. And that allows us to build something so perfectly customized to their operation. Remember, this is the process that without any documentation, without any systems in place, got them to $6.5 million a year. They wanted clarity and proven methods that the other top landscaping companies are already using. You think the top landscaper in big regions are not using systems? You think they're just using pencil and paper and hoping, hey, this is the way we do it? You think that's a business that you can scale or sell? No. Now remember, they already had their process nailed down. I mean, you are not getting to high 6-7 figures without doing so. But now they wanted systems that mirrored what worked so they could use those systems at scale. So that's what we did. We got straight to work. I kid you not, for 2 weeks, I was working directly with their internal operations point of contact every single day. He can back me up and tell you, grueling calls of just documenting how they want it done. We would get on a call for like 1 to 4 hours at a time every day. And doing that, we took something that they felt complicated. We hear this all the time. They say, well, our systems are really specific and they're really custom and there's no way we can build it into a system. I hear it all the time. And it makes me laugh because we take something that feels complicated and we break it down and we build it into simple, clear systems that match what they actually want to do in their business. And so here's actual examples. I'm gonna be showing you screenshots from their actual dashboard. I don't want to show you too much of private information that is, that has customer information, but I will show you screenshots from their dashboard. So first, we switched them from a manual process, remember I told you that was a big issue, to an automated follow-up process that would respond to every single new lead within 1 minute of a form submission. And then we automatically assigned each of those leads to a salesperson as fast as humanly possible. And so just by reaching out as soon as possible, we qualified 63.41% of all leads. Everybody who reached out, we qualified 63.41%. That's crazy. Here's what's even crazier. Of the leads we qualified, 100% of them using our system booked on site for a quote. That's nuts. So the qualification made sure that we were getting the right jobs and we were getting the right people in front of them, because if you know landscaping, if you know hardscaping, if you know pool installation, if you know concrete work, if you know any of those jobs, you know that your guys are really good at closing in person on site. The second thing we did is that we added appointment reminders, nurture sequences, and on-site scripts for the designers. What did that do? That increased their on-site attendance rate to 100%. So remember, back here, we're getting 100% of them booked. So they're saying, okay, of the 63% of leads, we're getting them booked on site. But this means that of the appointments that were booked, this means that 100% of them were attended. There was no calls, no shows, missed appointments, nothing. Anything that went through that process was immediately rescheduled. So we were able to get them in front of their guys, in front of their customers 100% of the time. And you know what happens there? When they got there in person, because we systemized and took their script that was working, we put it into the automation so that way everybody had the same script. It wasn't just this guy's really good and this girl's really good. No, everybody had the same script. Their close rate moved up to 50%. So remember, 63% are getting booked, are getting qualified. 100% of that 63% is now getting booked. 100% are showing up, and we're closing 50% of those jobs, which is absolutely crazy. The third thing we did is we moved them from a verbal handoff and post-it notes or literal post-it notes to automated communication with teams triggered by completed steps. What this does is it reduces the delays and it actually sped up their closing process by up to 7 days. What does that do? It shifted their total close rate from 8% last year to 18.29% this year. You can see that one rate right there, 18.29% this year. And that's just in 1 month. And this screenshot was taking early April, not even halfway through April, not the end of April. We're talking early April. That much money is coming in, which is absolutely crazy. So for example, Eric was using a verbal handoff. So if you guys are doing this too, I'm going to show you kind of the ways to fix it, right? So if you're doing a verbal handoff, that requires your team to verbally indicate to other people when that job is done. So that means you have to remember the status of the project. You have to remember to tell certain people when you see them, if you see them at all, and if you don't forget. Or it requires that you rely on other people to basically play a game of telephone, telling people, hey, you can go ahead and do this, you can go ahead and do that, here's the information, hoping it's all accurate. We didn't like that because you can see here these red squares signal jobs being worked on versus unnecessary delays. It's a very simple illustration, but you kind of get the point, right? Now, afterwards, we set up the automated handoff, and you can do this with your company too, right? So in this scenario, the system signals when a job is done. So as somebody finishes something, it automatically notifies the next person, hey, you can go ahead and start, and here's the information that you may need to start, right? And so you can see here, again, it looks like I drew it in crayon, but I'm just trying to illustrate it. The green squares are all condensed, which means there's no or minimal reduced lag time, which means you can fit in another project per team per month. The team is happier because they're not feeling frustrated that they're having to wait for the right information or just a green light in general. There's more revenue per team per month, even if you are subcontracting, because even though you have that variable overhead, you're going to have also that variable profit that comes in with getting more jobs. And the best part is that the boss is getting reports automatically, so he doesn't have to ask for verbal updates or babysit or have to go back and make sure the information he's given is accurate. He's getting reports that are telling him, hey, here's everything that's happening in real time. Then what we did is we actually added checkpoints at the end of each project to make sure every client is 100% satisfied before a job is closed out, and that only happy clients are leaving reviews. And so what this does is it makes 5-star reviews their new normal, and we're actually doing this without violating FTC regulations. So what I mean by that is if you or your systems website automation guy is telling people, hey, give us feedback. If you give us good feedback, we're going to let you leave a review. If you don't, we're not. That violates FTC regulation. And if you have an angry customer who reports that, you're going to get in really, really big trouble. We don't do that. What we do is at the end of a project, we have during the post-construction walkthrough, we have a survey, a checklist they fill out. And we basically have the customer walk through and say, yes, I like everything. And we have them sign off. So if they sign off, we know they're happy. If they're like, I don't want to sign off, we know, okay, something is wrong. What do we need to change? And then we can have a change order, or we can have a punch list depending on what is going on and at what stage of the construction they're going through, right? Now for the management team, we actually included automated instructions at every single step, not for the management team, but rather for the new hires. So this would help us reduce training time. It would improve employee onboarding and training systems because it's telling them what to do, when to do it, how to do it. It gives the team across the board clear instructions every single time. So there's no room for variation. There's no room for failure. Not because we're so strict, but because the system is so dialed in. It tells them, do this, here's how to do it, here's a walkthrough, right? And when you have everybody operating really well, they don't feel stupid, they're empowered, and they know what to do, when to do, how to do it every time. That is going to boost your morale, which reduces your turnover. You're not having to find new people because you have people there who are happy. One of the biggest issues or complaints that I hear is that it's so hard to find the right people. It is when you're doing what's called management by abdication. When you're telling somebody, hey, figure it out the way I figured it out, or hey, just follow me and learn from me. That's not training. That's not. That's more of like an apprenticeship, and you're saying, hey, good luck, go get it. You're expecting that they care as much as you care. You're expecting that they operate the same way you operate. But when you have a system that tells everybody, here's what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and why we're doing it, now you're empowering them, which means your business is not relying on people, it's relying on systems, and you're just plugging in people who can read. If they can read and follow directions, you're good to go. And my personal favorite part is that we put in a system that tracks the data of every single step, so we can find new growth levers and we can obliterate, destroy, demolish bottlenecks. And what this does is it helps the business grow even when the owner's on vacation. Now, here's an example of the pipelines that we set up. These are just 3 of the 9 pipelines that we set up. We have the master plan pipeline, we have the active job pipeline, and then we have the change order pipeline. And the change order pipeline also mirrors the punch list pipeline. So you can see how we're setting it up based on their process. We didn't come to them and say, hey, use these 3 pipelines. We came to them and said, what are your pipelines? We will adapt that for you. The bottom line is this. By fixing their systems, it didn't just make things smoother, it multiplied their revenue and it made the whole business healthier. And this is not rocket science. I mean, it's not for us at least, right? It's clear, it's simple, it's highly effective because this is the biggest part for us and for them. They already had a nailed down process. We're not telling them how to operate. They know how they want to operate. They just need that process duplicated and downloaded into everybody's brain, right? If you had the owner who could clone himself, the business is going to operate very, very well. So how do they make that happen? They just needed data and system nerds like us over at Restless Systems to bring it to life and give them the ammunition that they need to scale. Remember, we're only a few months in, and every single day we are reading their pipeline to find new areas of improvement so we can push more leads through the pipeline. We're communicating with their team almost daily to make sure that we're adapting the system constantly until it matches exactly what they want. It's not our business, it's theirs. So we're adapting what they want, we're building it into a system, and we're not just handing it over, it's battle tested. They're going out, they're using it, they're coming back and they're saying, hey, Alec, hey, Grant, we like this, we don't like this. Or we like this, but can you change it to this time versus that time? And we're applying every single thing they want to make it easier for their team to use. We're improving their system daily based on that feedback, which is ensuring what? Their team is happy, their pipeline is full, and their customers are 100% satisfied. This is how you get to being the top in your region. And I'm going to show you some things that we've been working on over the past 2 weeks so you can see what I mean by when we set up the systems, we're reading the data. This stuff is like so cool to me. I think it's because I'm a nerd, but it's just so cool to me. When we asked why on-site surveys were not being filled out, the team gave us feedback on the forms. Think about how silly this is, okay? And I'm not putting them down, but think about how silly this is. These are the kind of things that are costing you thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars every month. So the team had these on-site surveys, but we noticed in the data that there was a big drop-off between the qualification and people being booked. And that was because the surveys just were not being filled out. And this was happening at multiple stages because they had surveys at the pre-construction, the active job, the post-construction, there's just surveys everywhere. And again, they were not being filled out. So we asked them, hey, what's going on? And the team gave us feedback on why they were not using the forms. And this is what's crazy. They told us that the forms had several pages that they had to click through to find the questions instead of having all of the questions on just one page. So that's just a very small difference, right? Clicking through your questions versus all your questions on one page. Check this out. When we changed the forms to have just one page instead of having multiple pages, the team actually started using them because they were easier to use. And I kid you not, that resulted in an additional $200,000 moving through the pipeline because they had big projects that just were not being tracked, not being pushed through. $200,000 off of a 1-page versus 5-page form. That's crazy. And it's not to put them down. It's just to show you, like, when you're tracking this stuff, you can find these little tiny fixes that move the needle. In another instance, we noticed that the owner really wants to be involved with assigning leads to specific sales reps. And this is something we see with owners all the time. Because they're the ones who develop the process, they really, really want to be involved. And so what we have to do is we have to show them that, hey, we want you to be involved by watching the process, not being involved in the process. So we showed him, and the data showed that he was a little too slow to assign the leads over, and that was causing a lot of money to not be pushed through the pipeline. That was the biggest bottleneck that we found. And of course, he's the owner. He's got more important things. He's trying to put out fires all the time. We don't want him involved. We want him to be proactive, not reactive. So what we did is we recommended automatically assigning leads, or instead of routing the leads through him, we just route the leads through an office manager. And this simple fix, I kid you not, hear the numbers, pushed another $610,000 through their pipeline. What's funny is that if you look at the process, if you saw the process of assigning a lead to a sales rep, it's a 30-second process. But he just didn't have the time to do it because he was getting distracted by more important tasks. Just by rerouting them, $610,000. And this is within a period of 31 days. This is not like a year. This is not 3 months of us working together. This is just within 31 past days of me taking the screenshot in early April. In a third instance, we found that only 89.8% of all requested quotes were getting sent out. 89% is not bad. If I brought an 89% home, I'd be pretty happy with that as a grade. But it's not 100%, which meant there was money left on the table. So we actually built reminders for the individuals involved with the quoting process and actually sending out the quote with the scope to either send the quote, so just remind them, hey, you gotta send the quote, hey, don't forget, or having another individual step in and say, hey, I noticed you haven't sent the quote. Maybe you're busy, maybe you're bogged down, maybe you're sick and out of work, like, let us help you. And so just by, you can see 1.38 million to 1.28 million, just by having 100% of these quotes being sent out. Because again, they're asking, need to send proposal. They're asking for a proposal to be sent. Just by doing that, that's another $110,000 right there. If we add all those together, that's an additional $920,000 in jobs pushed through without increasing ad spend, without changing how they operate. Remember, it's their process, just helping them do it, and without hiring anybody except for, our agency, of course. And that's just within 31 days. And you want to hear how much this package costs that they're using right now? This is the craziest part. The same package that got them $920,000 in jobs with not hiring anybody, not paying for ads, and not changing their process in just 31 days. Our setup fees range from a one-time payment between $8,000 and $20,000. And then there's a monthly retainer between $2,000 and $8,000, depending on which package that you're selecting. So for them, they're on the lower end of the package for the monthly because they don't use the AI chatbots and they're not having us run ads for them. So they're on the lower end of that. And if you think that's expensive, imagine, just imagine for a second, right? That I'm telling this company beforehand, right? I'm saying, hey, if you give me $20,000 for our setup fee, in 3.5 months, I'm going to give you back $920,000. And again, that's 1 month, 31 days. We're working with them every single month. And if we do some basic math, look at the return that this company's getting. They're spending $22,000. Let's say that's the setup fee in 1 month. We're helping them generate $920,000 in opportunities just by pushing it through. That is $898,000 in opportunities. If we take that number, 898, and we divide it by our fee, that's a 4,081.82% return in under 4 months. That's not including all the other months of us working with them, right? And we have not even touched ads. Now, I'm not saying like this is gonna happen for you guys. I'm just trying to walk you through just one example of what we are doing for this high-end landscaper between the range of $1 to $10 million per year. And once the system is nailed down, the boss will have officially downloaded his brain into his business because everyone's gonna be operating the exact way he wants, which means he's not gonna have to be there to have it grow. Not run, grow. With clear, proven systems in place, this landscaping company is now ready to grow comfortably and confidently. They can scale smoothly, hire more people without chaos, expand into new areas, or just simply allow the owner to finally step away. But I know Eric, he's not gonna want to step away. He's gonna want to take this thing to the moon. But for the first time, growth feels clear. It feels stress-free because they have gone from constantly reacting to proactively growing. And that's exactly what every top landscaping company wants. And we haven't even touched ads yet. Remember, the biggest bottleneck, what were the leads? Why are we gonna funnel more leads into a broken system? We're gonna fix the system, then we're gonna pump the leads. So ads plus our hardscaping growth engine solution plus the right team equals insane growth. And most of the time, these guys, because they're operating at 6.5, 10 million, even 1 or 2 million, they already have competent individuals. They already understand how to find the right self-disciplined people, which is an extreme talent in and of itself. But more specifically, they now have growth without needing Eric there. That's the coolest part. Now, could you do this yourself? Technically, yes. I'm showing you how to do everything. You just need to find a way to, automatically assign leads, bring them in, route them to the right salespeople, make sure the salespeople are calling, make sure they're filling out the fields, make sure they know the exact script to use, make sure they're actually doing it, track all your numbers. Yes, you could technically do this yourself. You could technically send this over to your niece, your nephew, your buddy who's a tech guy and say, hey, can you do what these guys are doing? Yeah, you could 100% do that. Realistically, probably not. At least not easily. You're going to spend months or even years piecing things together, just like a homeowner might attempt trying to build their own outdoor kitchen just by watching a few of maybe your YouTube videos or other YouTube videos, right? But you don't have the time. And frankly, you shouldn't have to. Not to mention, in the time that you spend learning or having your guy learn how to do this, remember, we generated this company $920,000 in opportunities. And again, remember this, we chose the low range. When we have a lead come in that says, hey, my budget is between 25 and 50K, we don't pick 50K, we don't pick 35K, we pick the low range because we don't want to overinflate the results we're getting them. Think about that every single month. How many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars every single month, every single year are you going to have lost out on because you wanted to do it yourself or because you thought, hey, let me save $20,000, have my niece do it, and then your niece is there trying to pull her out, figuring out, how they're doing it, right? Or your brother's there trying to figure out how to do it, right? You have built a successful landscaping business. This is what we told Eric and them. You guys are phenomenal at what you're doing. You guys built award-winning backyards that neighbors are jealous of. But you didn't get there because you're great at building business systems. You're great at managing your team. You're great at finding the right team to work with. You're great at handling the close with the customer and talking to the customer and closing the customer. You're great at helping the customer if they're happy or unhappy with something. You're great at all that stuff. You did not build a successful landscaping business because you're great at building business systems. You didn't. So trying to do it yourself means you're wasting valuable time, you're losing revenue, your team is frustrated in the process, and you're adding unnecessary stress. I see this all the time. Somebody will say, I can do it myself. And I'm like, when? You're gonna do it like 1 hour a night? What are you gonna sacrifice, right? You got 3 things to pick from. You're gonna sacrifice time at work, time with the family, or time sleeping, right? They don't wanna do it. They say they will, they never end up doing it. So if you are ready, you yourself, not Eric, you watching this, if you are ready to stop being the bottleneck, if you are tired of losing leads, more leads than you're converting, if you are tired of having frustrated teams who you're constantly having to babysit and are getting frustrated that they have to be babysat even though they're not doing what you want them to do, if you're tired of delayed projects where you're like, if we could just do this faster, the customer would be happier, the team would be happier, we could fit in more projects. If you're frustrated with fragile processes that require you or certain people in your business to constantly go behind and make sure that people are wiping their nose and tying their shoes and wiping their butts, it's time to talk. Because fixing your back end isn't just about making your business organized, it's about multiplying your profits, reclaiming your time, and finally achieving the freedom that your hard work deserves. This is not a trend. This is the future of landscaping that more and more landscapers are adopting because as social media grows, as the internet grows, more and more of the top companies are sharing what they're doing. These top guys, they're already there. They're just sharing what they're doing. And what you're going to see is you're going to see more and more people saying, hey, Restless System is what got us to that next level. The only real question is how much longer you want to wait, you're willing to wait, and how much money and sanity you're willing to lose in the meantime. Now, if you're somebody, I talk to these guys all the time. I talk to landscapers all the time. If you are a solo operator, if you have a small team and you're very happy there, great, stay right there. There's nothing that beats being happy. But if you're somebody who's much, much hungrier and you're ready to do this, then let's do it. I want you to send me a DM. You can join our group. I'm going to link these things below, or you can skip the wait and just book a call to talk with our team one-on-one. And since you stayed to the very end of this video, if you want a copy of the Scale My Landscape Business Checklist, it's a checklist to make sure that you are scaling properly with little notes on what you can do. All you have to do is comment scale below in the YouTube video, and we will send you a free copy so you can see just how scalable your current business setup is. Now remember, you didn't build a successful landscaping business to babysit it or to give yourself more work and less time. You built it to grow into something that worked for you. And if you're ready, we can just go ahead and make that happen together. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to comment below and we will answer every single question for you for 100% free. Have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video. See ya.